Hi, I'm Patrick Sullivan, AKAmai's CTO of Security Strategy, and I'm here today to talk to you about easy, affordable FIDO2 authentication. As we all know, authentication is under constant attack. When we review the incidents that led to breaches in the Verizon data breach investigation report, the overwhelming number of cases that involved hacking involved at some point circumvention of authentication, whether that's brute force or stolen credentials. And on the Akamai platform, we see just massive botnets attempting to validate primarily reused credentials that have been spilled in data breaches against authentication. We see as many as 1 billion of those attempts per day, all attempts to basically circumvent simple password-based auth. And we've seen this even from the world's apex predators. So the reports earlier this year that the Russian GRU was leveraging credential stuffing as a critical element of some of the attacks that they've launched. So I think we all know that that basic password-based authentication certainly is limited. And I really enjoyed reading Daniel Miessler's study earlier this year. He created a framework to think about sort of your own personal life and the right level of authentication based on the risk that you're willing to accept. So we sort of created maybe a workforce-based equivalent to that. So as you think about your organization and the level of risk that you're willing to accept, what is the right form of authentication for that organization? And the way that this model works is that risks sum as you move from the top to the bottom. So based on your risk tolerance, you would move up and reduce some of these vulnerabilities all the way up to sort of the top here, where you get to FIDO2 based authentication, where the primary goal there is eliminating phishing and some of the other risks that you're still susceptible to with basic kind of push-based MFA. And the reason that we have that preference for FIDO2 is that based on PKI, you really can develop this level of resilience from the common attacks that try to target just standard MFA, things like phishing of users, man-in-the-middle, social engineering attacks. I think everybody's very familiar with this. You wouldn't be at a FIDO conference today. But these are all sort of the key elements that we all focus on sort of as we move towards FIDO2. Now, something that we've often seen, I don't know who else has seen this, but this image sort of made the rounds on InfoSec Twitter earlier this year. And if you haven't seen it, it was somebody experimenting with Shodan, which does mass scanning across the internet. And you find all kinds of things. This particular security researcher came across somebody who had pointed their webcam at a classic, hardware security token. Certainly not FIDO2, but a hardware second factor that we've all seen. And I think this really just demonstrates how much resistance there is on the part of users to carrying around a physical second factor. In this case, the friction associated with carrying around that second factor led an employee somewhere to essentially circumvent solid security practices by pointing a security camera at their token so that they don't have to carry it around. They can simply browse to this camera and read off their 6-digit code from their second factor, obviously reducing the integrity of that authentication process quite a bit. But I think what this serves to illustrate is just the level of friction that users perceive if they're asked to carry a second factor, even if that second factor is a more modern second factor that's delivering FIDO2 type of capabilities. So these are things at Akamai that we've kept in mind as we designed what we call AKAmai MFA. And really our goal is to deliver all of the resilience to phishing and man-in-the-middle attacks that you get with FIDO2, but doing it in a low friction environment where it's delivered in the form factor of an app on a smartphone. And the way that we accomplish this is basically cryptographically pairing that app on the second factor on the phone with the first factor, the laptop. So as I authenticate to my corporate apps every day, my MFA on my phone can only cryptographically authenticate a request that comes from my laptop or another device that's cryptographically paired with that second factor. So in the case where there was a phishing attempt, I couldn't accept that on a request that came from another device that was not cryptographically paired to this MFA service, even if I wanted to. Right? The request would never come to me, and even if it did, I couldn't accept it on behalf of that device. But at the same time, you get the low friction environment of being able to do all this on a smartphone, which I'm already carrying around every day as it is. So not only does this reduce the level of friction for the user of this device, but certainly it reduces the total cost of ownership for the security and IT teams. We're not asking users to carry around a hardware token to accomplish FIDO2 as we move in that direction. And by introducing less friction, there's less risk of our users doing something anomalous, like we saw in the previous graph, where they're trying to work outside of that model. So more details are available at akamai.com/product.AKAmai MFA, or you could just search AKAmai MFA to read more about this. But ultimately, this is our goal is to allow organizations to more easily and more affordably move to a FIDO2 solution. So thank you very much for your time today.